students. In last class you learnt about secondary xylem. In this class you are going to learn about secondary phloem. So the vascular cambial ring. What does mean by cambium? The cambium is present in between the xylem and the phloem, which is involved in secondary thickening of the plant. So the vascular cambial ring produces secondary phloem or bast phloem on the outer side of the vascular bundle. So vascular bundle is consist of xylem and phloem. So where the secondary phloem is produced, which is produced from the cambial ring. As the secondary xylem, the secondary phloem has also two tissues, that is ray initial and the fusiform initial. Like the xylem, the secondary phloem is also consist of ray initial and the fusiform initial. So the axial vertical fusiform initial and the radial horizontal ray initials are present in the secondary xylem. Like the secondary phloem is also consist of a vertical axial fusiform initial and radial horizontal ray initials are present in secondary phloem also. While C element, phloem fiber and phloem parenchyma represent the axial system, that is ray fiber, ray initials. Phloem rays represent the radial system. The lifespan of secondary phloem is less compared to the secondary xylem. Secondary phloem is a living tissue that transport soluble organic compounds made during photosynthesis to various parts of the plant. So the leaf produce the food for the plant. From that leaves, the phloem transport the organic food material into all part of the plant body. The commercial important phloem or bast fibers are obtained from the plants such as flax, hemp, sun hemp, jute. These are used in the manufacture of ropes. Periderm. Periderm, the stem and the root increases in thickness of secondary growth due to cambial activity. The periderm is a protective tissue of the secondary origin. It is replace the epidermis and often primary cortex. The periderm is consist of three layers: phloem, cark, phylogen, cark cambium, and phloderm, secondary cortex. The first layer of the periderm is a phloem. The phloem is also called as a cark. It is a protective covering and it is composed of non-living cells with suberized walls. So that is the brown color represent the phloem. It is composed of non-living cells with suberized. Suberized means it is made up of a substance suberin. It is very thick in nature, hard in nature, and formed centrifugally. Centrifugally means outwards by the phylogen. So it forms outward from the outer to the phylogen as a part of the periderm. So phylogen is also one of the part of the periderm. It replaces the epidermis in older stem and roots many of the seeded plant, that is flowering plant. It is characterized by the regularly arranged tires and rows of cells. It is broken, that is the phloem is broken here and there by the presence of lenticels. Lenticels is a small opening which is present in the cark. The next topic is phylogen. So the phylogen is also called as cark cambium. It is a secondary lateral meristem. So it is a secondary lateral meristem. It is composed of the phylogen is composed of homogeneous meristematic cells. So it is made up of same type of meristematic young dividing cells, unlike the vascular cambium. It arises from the epidermis, cortex, phloem or pericycle. Pericycle, that is extrastellar in origin, outside the steel region. Its cells divides periclinically and produces radially arranged files of cells. That is, the phylogenes are made up of homogeneous meristematic cells. It arises from epidermis, cortex, phloem or pericycle. The cells divides periclinically, parallelly, and produces radially arranged files of cells. They are made up of radially arranged files of cells. The cells towards the outer side differentiated into phloem and the inner side is phloderm. Outer phloem and inside it is phloderm, that is secondary cortex. The next layer, third layer of a periderm is a phloderm. The phloderm is also called as a secondary cortex. It is a tissue resembling cortical living cells. So it is a tissue that looks like a cortical cells. This cortical parenchyma produce centripetally. Centripetally means inward, present inside. Centripetally from the phloem, a part of the periderm. A phloem is a part of the periderm of a stem and the root in seeded plants. The phloem is a tissue which resembles like a cortical living parenchyma cells which are present centripetally. Centripetally means inside, that is inward from the phloem. Next, difference between phloem and phloderm. Phloem is also called as a cork. Phloderm or secondary cortex. It is found on the outer side of the phloem. That is, phloem is found on outer side of the phloem. The phloderm is found on inner side of the phloem. The cells are compactly arranged in regular tiers and rows without intercellular spaces. The cells are loosely arranged with intercellular spaces in phloderm. Phloem is a protective in function. A phloderm contains chloroplast, so it is involved in synthesis of food and also storage of food because it is made up of parenchymatous tissue. The phloem consists of non-living cells with the thick cell wall, that is suberized cell walls, thick cell walls. The phloderm consists of living cells, parenchymatous in nature and does not contain a suberin, that is thickening material. The cell wall is thin in nature. Phloem consists of lenticels. It contains lenticels, whereas the phloderm, the absence of lenticels. The next topic, difference between cambium, vascular cambium and cork cambium. Vascular cambium is also known as cambium, whereas cork cambium is also called as phloem. Vascular cambium arises from procambium and interfascicular parenchyma in stem and root stem and forms conjunctive parenchyma in root. So it forms the interfascicular cambium parenchyma in stem and conjunctive tissue in roots. Phloem, it arises from epidermis, cortex, phloem or pericycle in both stem and root. It compresses long fusiform and short ray initial. Vascular cambium is consists of long fusiform and short ray initial. So cork cambium, it comprises of only homogeneous cells, similar type of cells, mostly parenchymatous cells. Vascular cambium produce secondary phloem towards the outer side and secondary xylem towards the inner side, whereas the cork cambium or phloem produces phloderm, cork outer to the outer side, towards the outer side, and phloderm secondary cortex towards the inner side. Bark. The term bark is commonly applied to all the tissue outside the vascular cambium of the stem. So bark is all the tissue outside the vascular cambium of the stem. That is, it consists of periderm, cortex, primary phloem and secondary phloem. The bark protects the plant from parasitic infection such as fungi caused by fungi and insects. It prevents water loss by evaporation and guards against the variation of external temperature. It is an insect repellent, decay proof, fire proof, and it is used in obtaining drugs or spices. For example, cinnamomum bark is used as a spices. The phloem cells of the bark are involved in conduction of food, while the secondary cortical cells involved in storage. If the phloem forms a complex cylinder around the stem, it gives rise to a ring bark. Example, Quercus, when the bark is formed in overlapping scales like layer, it is known as a scale bar. So in Quercus, the phloem forms a cylinder around the stem is called as a ring box. Whereas in guava, the bark is formed of overlapping scales like layer is known as a scale bark. While in ring bark normally do not peeled. So the ring barks are non-peeling type. Whereas in guava, the bark is a peeling type. That is scale bark or peeling type in nature. Lenticels. Lenticels is raised opening or a pores. Lenticel is a opening or a pores on the epidermis or bark of the stem. So there is a small opening in the epidermis or the bark of the stem is called as a lenticels. It is formed during secondary growth in stem. That is during the due to cambial activity, the secondary growth is occur in the plants. On that time, the lenticels are formed in the stem. While when the phloem is more active in the region of the lenticel, a mass of loosely arranged thin-walled parenchyma cells are formed. It is called as a complementary cells. So due to the activity of phloem in the region of the lenticels, a mass of loosely arranged thin-walled parenchymatous cells are formed is called as a complementary cell or filling tissue. The lenticels function of lenticels. The lenticels are helps in exchange of gases and transpiration. So what is meant by transpiration? The loss of water in the form of water vapor. So the lenticels are helps in exchange of gases and transpiration called lenticular transpiration. Secondary growth in dicot root. Secondary growth in dicot root is essential to provide strength to the growing aerial part. What is meant by aerial part? The structure which is present above the soil is called as the aerial part, that is shoot system of the plant. It is similar to that of the secondary growth in dicot stem. So the secondary growth in dicot root is similar to the secondary growth in dicot stem. However, there is a marked difference in the manner of the formation of vascular cambium in dicot root and dicot stem. The combination of conjunctive tissue. What is meant by conjunctive tissue? The tissue which differentiate. So the tissue which differentiate xylem and phloem. That is in between the xylem and phloem, conjunctive tissue are present. The tissue which differentiates xylem and phloem is called as a conjunctive tissue. The conjunctive tissue is located just below the phloem bundles and as the portion of the pericycle tissue present above the protoxylem to form a complete and continuous wearing. This wearing later becomes circular and produce secondary xylem and secondary phloem similar to the secondary growth in the stem. So the secondary growth in root. So due to secondary growth in root, the epidermis, like the stem, the root is also having phloem, that is scar cambium. So in pericycle, primary phloem, secondary phloem, phloem rays, cambial ring, primary xylem, secondary xylem, and secondary rays. So difference between secondary growth in dicot stem and secondary growth in dicot root. Dicot stem. The cambial ring is formed circular in cross section from the beginning. So from the beginning of the secondary growth, the cambial ring is circular in cross section. So in dicot root, the cambial ring is formed in a way in the beginning and later it become a circular. The cambial ring is partially primary, that is fascicular cambium, and partially secondary, interfascicular cambium in origin. So in dicot stem, the secondary growth is partially fascicular, derived from the fascicular cambium, and partially it is derived from interfascicular cambium. In dicot root, the cambial ring is completely secondary in origin, that is interfascicular cambium in origin. In dicot stem, generally the periderm originated from the cortical cell, extrastellar in origin. So in dicot root, periderm originated from the pericycle, that is interstellar in origin. In dicot stem, more amount of cork is produced as stem is above the ground. So more amount of cork is produced as a stem and above the ground. In this, less amount of cork is produced as in the underground. So in stem, the cork is more amount due to the presence, because the stem is present above the soil. But in root, less amount of cork is produced because it is underground in nature. In dicot stem, lenticels of periderms are permanent. In dicot root, the lenticels of periderms are not very prominent. Sometimes it may be absent. Dicot stem, primary structure, pre-structure of secondary growth. Next, secondary structure. Procambium. It gives rise to fascicular cambium in primary structure. Medullary rays gives rise to intrafascicular cambium. Epidermis, cortex, phloem. Epidermis, cortex, phloem. It gives rise to cork cambium, that is phloem. In pre-structure of secondary growth, fascicular cambium and intrafascicular cambium forms vascular cambium. This vascular cambium gives rise to axial fusiform initial and radial ray initial. This axial fusiform initial gives rise to axial phloem and axial xylem. Ray initial gives rise to radial phloem rays and xylem rays. The cork cambium, that is phloem, gives rise to phloem cork, phloem secondary cortex and lenticels. In dicot root, conjunctive tissue, that is secondary phloem, is formed from the primary conjunctive tissue and pericycle, interstellar region. So the conjunctive tissue forms vascular cambium. This vascular cambium gives rise to fusiform initial and ray initial. Fusiform initial gives rise to axial phloem, axial xylem. Ray initials gives rise to phloem rays, xylem rays, pericycle, cork cambium. Phloem gives rise to phloem, that is cork, phloem secondary cortex. Dicot root and dicot stem. In this video, you are going to learn about the new lesson, plant physiology, the functional organization. So the plant physiology is the study of the internal functioning of the plant. In this chapter, we will study about the events taking place between the gain of water in roots and loss in leaves, and the mechanism behind the basic physical and biological process in the movement of water, gases and minerals in plants. So In this lesson, we are also going to learn about how food material synthesized in the leaf can be transported to various utilizing and storage areas against struggles and challenges. Types of transport. So, the transport is the process of moving water and minerals and food to all part of the plant body. Connective tissues such as xylem and phloem plays an important role in the conduction of food and water. So xylem conducts the water to all part of the body and phloem conducts the food material from the leaf to other part of the plant. So the transportation in the plant takes place by xylem and phloem. The food which is prepared in the leaf is transported to the all area of the plant including the root system. Unlike food prepared from the leaves has to travel all part of the plant including the roots, both the process, that is the conduction of water and food material, is interconnected and depending on each other. That is, xylem conducts the water from the root to all part of the plant body. Based on the distance traveled by water, that is sap or food solute, they are classified into two types. One is a short distance transport, that is cell to cell transport, and a long distance transport, short distance transport and a long distance transport. In short distance transport, that is cell to cell transport, the movement of substance involved in a short distance from one cell to the other cell. It involves a few cells, mostly in the lateral direction. They are connecting link to xylem and phloem from the root hairs or leaf tissues respectively. Examples for cell to cell transportation are diffusion, imbibition, and osmosis. Long distance transport. The transport within the network of xylem or phloem is an example of long distance transport. Example, a send-up of sap and translocation of solute. Based on the expenditure of energy during the transportation, they are classified into two types. One is passive transportation and active transportation. That is, passive transportation does not need any energy. The transportation takes place passively. In active transportation, it needs energy to transport the substances. Passive transportation is a downhill process, so which utilize physical force like gravity and concentration gradient. There is no energy expenditure is required for passive transportation. It includes diffusion, facilitated diffusion, imbibition, and osmosis. The example of passive transportations are diffusion, facilitated diffusion, imbibition, and osmosis. Diffusion, it is the net movement of molecules from a region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration, higher to a lower concentration along the concentration gradient until an equilibrium is obtained. Here there is no any need for energy. So diffusions are coming under passive transportation. Active transportation. So the active transportation is a biological process and it runs based on the energy obtained from respiration. So in active transportation, the energy is required. It is a uphill process, climbing up the hill. So we need energy to climb the hill. Cell to cell transportation. Cell to cell is a short distance transportation. It covers only limited area and consists of a few cells. They are having a facilitator or tributaries to the long distance transportation. The driving force of the cells to cell transportation can be passive or active. Either it need energy, active, or it may not need energy, passive. The cell to cell transportation are of two types. One is a passive transportation, active transportation. Passive transportation is diffusion, facilitated diffusion, osmosis, and imbibition. So in facilitated diffusion is takes place by two methods. One is channel protein with the help of channel protein and carrier protein. Active transportation takes place by channel protein, carrier protein pumps. It needs energy. It needs energy for transport. Diffusion. So diffusion is the movement of molecules from a region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration until the equilibrium is obtained. So example for diffusions are when we expose a lightened incense stick or a mosquito coil or open a perfume bottle in a closed room, we can smell the odor everywhere in the room. This is due to the even distribution of perfume molecules throughout the room. So it is due to the even distribution of perfume or odor smell throughout the room. This is called as a diffusion. So this process is called as a diffusion. That is random distribution of a perfume molecules throughout the room is called as a diffusion. The diffusion, the movement of molecules in a continuous and random in order in all direction. So the distribution of molecules in random and continuous continuous and random in all direction is called as a diffusion. The next characteristic features of diffusion. It is a passive process. Passive means it does not need any energy. Hence, there is no expenditure of energy is involved in it. It is independent of the living system. So it is a independent. It does not need any energy or help from the other cells or other organs. So diffusion is easily takes place in gases and liquid compared to the solid state. Diffusion is rapid over a shorter distance. It takes a fast in a short distance but extremely slow over the longer distance. So it takes place very fast in a short distance and slow in a long distance. The rate of diffusion is determined by temperature, concentration gradient and relative density of the substance. Significance of diffusion in plants. Exchange of gases such as oxygen and carbon dioxide between the atmosphere and the stomata of the leaves takes place by the process of diffusion. Thus, during photosynthesis, the plant absorbs carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and during respiration, the plant absorbs oxygen from the atmosphere. These things takes place by means of a diffusion. In transpiration, water vapor from the intercellular spaces in between the two cells called as intercellular spaces diffuses into atmosphere through stomata by the process of diffusion, that is higher to lower concentration. The transport of ions in the mineral salt during passive absorption also takes place by the diffusion process. Facilitated diffusion. The cell membrane is also called as a plasma membrane, allow water and non-polar molecules to permit by simple diffusion. So it is easily absorbed by the water and non-polar substances are easily absorbed by the cell membrane, that is plasma membrane, by a method of diffusion, that is higher to lower concentration. For transportation of polar molecules such as ions, sugar, amino acid, nucleotides and many cell metabolites is not easily passes through the cell membrane. So based on their concentration gradient. It depends upon the size of the molecule. Smaller molecule can easily diffuse faster, whereas the larger molecules cannot diffuse inside the cell membrane. So solubility of the molecule. The lipid soluble substances are easily passed through the plasma membrane, but water soluble substances are difficult to pass through the cell membrane. They must be facilitated to pass through the membrane. It requires some proteins to move inside the cell membrane. In facilitated diffusion, molecules across the cell membrane with the help of a special membrane protein called the transport proteins without the expenditure of ATP, without the expenditure of energy. ATP is a high energy free molecule, high energy rich molecules, adenosine triphosphate. Without the involvement of energy, the transportation of larger molecules takes place through the protein which are present in the cell membrane. So it is called as a transporter protein or channel protein. So this helps in the movement of substances during facilitated diffusion. There are two type of transport proteins present in the cell membrane. They are channel protein and a carrier protein. Channel protein. Channel protein form a channel or tunnel, that is vein, in the cell membrane for the easy passage of the molecules to enter the cell. The channel are either open or and closed. The channels are, that is vein, in the cell membrane are either open or closed. They may open up for a specific molecules only. Some channel protein create larger pores in the outer membrane. Example, porine and aquaporins. Porine and aquaporins. Porine. Porine is a transporter protein found in the outer membrane of plastids. What does mean by plastids? The plastids or the cell organelles which are present in the plant cell. It gives color to the plant cell, such as a chloroplast, chromoplast, leucoplast. They are example for the plastids. So the porine is a large transporter protein found in the outer membrane of plastids. The mitochondria and bacteria which facilitate smaller molecules to pass through the membrane. So the function of the porine is bacteria and which mitochondria and bacteria which facilitate smaller molecule to pass through the membrane. Aquaporine. Aquaporine is a water channel protein embedded in the plasma membrane, that is cell membrane. It regulates massive movement of water molecules across the membrane. Plants contains a variety of aquaporine. Plants having a variety of aquaporine. Over 30 types of aquaporine are known from maize plant. Currently, they are also recognized to transport substrate like glycerol, urea, carbon dioxide, ammonia, metalloids and reactive oxygen species. In addition to water, they increase the permeability of the membrane of the water. Membrane to water, they confer drought and salt stress tolerance. So this aquaporine are also confer in drought and salt stress tolerance.